Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jayapataka Swami Maharaj.
The following is a lecture given by His Holiness Jayapataka Swami on June 5th, 1985 at New Panihati Dham in Atlanta, Georgia. The class begins with a reading from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Līla, chapter 14, text 21 through 36.
তবে কত দিনে প্রভু রাজানুসংক্রমণ নানা চমৎকার তথা করাইল দর্শন. Adi Līla, chapter 14, text 21. Translation. After some days, the Lord began to crawl on his knees, and he caused various wonderful things to be seen. Purport. The Chaitanya Bhagavat describes that one day while the Lord was crawling upon his knees, the bells on his waist ringing very sweetly, a snake came out to crawl in the yard of the Lord, who captured the snake like a curious child. Immediately the snake coiled over him. The Lord as a child then rested on the snake. And after some time the snake went away, leaving aside the Lord. What Leela does that sound like? Vishnu lying on the bed of Ananta. Khandanera chole bolailo hari nam, nari sabha hari bole hashi goradam. Khandanera chole bolailo hari nam, nari sabha hari bole hashi goradam. Translation. The Lord caused all the ladies to chant the holy names of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, on the plea of his crying. And while they chanted, the Lord would smile. Purport. In the Chaitanya Bhagavata, this pastime is described as follows. The Lord with his beautiful eyes would cry, but he would stop immediately upon hearing the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. When the ladies, understanding the fun of the Lord, discovered that he would cry and then stop upon hearing the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mantra, they all took it as a clue to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra as soon as the Lord cried. Thus it became a regular function. The Lord would cry and the ladies would begin chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, clapping with their hands. In this way, all the ladies of the neighboring houses would assemble in the homes of Sachi Mata to join in the Sankirtan movement 24 hours a day. As long as the ladies continued to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, the Lord would not cry, but very pleasingly smile upon them. Thus, in the purport of text 22. This is the easiest way to have the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu always smiling upon one, is to be constantly chanting the Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Sabe koto dine koilo padachankraman, Sishugane mile koilo vivida kelan. After some days, the Lord began to move his legs and walk. He mixed with other children and exhibited varieties of sports. Ekodina sachi koi shandeshaniya, bata bhore diya koilo khao to bosiya. Translation. One day, while the Lord was enjoying his playful sports with the other little children, Mother Sachi brought a dish filled with fused rice and sweetmeats and asked the child to sit down and eat them. Ato boli gela sachi grihe karmo korite Lukaya lagila sisu mitika kaite. But when she returned to her household duties, the child, hiding from his mother, began to eat dirt. Deki sachi kaya, deki sachi dhaya ila, dhore hai hai. Mati kari loya kohe, mati kene kai. Translation. Seeing this, Mother Sachi hastily returned, exclaiming, "What is this? What is this?" She snatched the dirt from the hands of the Lord and inquired why he was eating it. Kandiya bolena sisu kene kororosh, tumi mati khaite dile mor ki badosh. Translation. Crying the Lord, the child inquired from his mother, "Why are you angry? You have already given me dirt to eat. What is my fault?" Koi sandesh alpo, soy sandesh anna jotek mati rabikar, eho mati sei mati ki beda bichar. Fused rice, sweetmeats, or anything eatable is but a transformation of dirt. This is dirt, that is dirt. Please consider, what is the difference between them? Mati deho mati, bako dekaho bichari, abichare deho dosh ki kolite pari. This body is a transformation of dirt. And the eatables are also a transformation of dirt. Please reflect upon them, upon this. You are blaming me without permission, without consideration. What can I say? Report. You have another sissy? Mate bika gote pani boriani, mati pinde dhori rabe soshikaya pani. Report. This is an explanation of the mayavada philosophy, which takes everything to be one. This necessitates of the body, namely eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, are all necessary in spiritual life. When one is elevated to the spiritual platform, there are no more bodily necessities and activities. Pertaining to the bodily necessities, there are no spiritual considerations. In other words, the more we eat, sleep, have sex, and try to defend ourselves, consider devotional service to be bodily activities, they cannot understand the simple version explanation of Bhagavad Gita. Mangshajo vabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samakti taitan brahma bhuhaya kalpate. Anyone who engages in spiritual devotional service without motivation, rendering such service for the satisfaction of the Lord, is elevated immediately to the spiritual platform, and all his activities are spiritual. Brahma Bhuaya refers to Brahman, spiritual activities. Although Mayavadi philosophers are very much eager to merge in the Brahman effulgence, they have no Brahman activities, which for them mean engagement in studying the Vedanta and Sankhya philosophies, but their interpretations are but dry speculation. Life is meant for varieties of enjoyment. A living entity is by nature full of an enjoying spirit, as stated in the Vedanta Sutra 1.1.12. Anandamayo Bhyasat. In devotional service, the activities are variegated and full of enjoyment. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 9.2, all devotional activities are easy to perform. Susukam kortum abhyayam, and they are eternal and spiritual. Abhyayam. Since Mayavadi philosophers cannot understand this, they take it for granted that a devotee's activities, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, to be interfered with. The mayavadi philosophers can understand this, and thus they take it for granted that a devotee's habits, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, are all material and are therefore Maya. They also consider Krishna's advent in this universe and his activities to be Maya. Therefore, because they consider everything Maya, they are known as mayavadis. Actually, any activities performed favorably for the satisfaction of the Lord under the direction of the spiritual master are spiritual. But for a person to disregard the order of the spiritual master and act by concoction, accepting his nonsensical activities to be spiritual, is Maya. One must achieve the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, one must first please the spiritual master, and if he is pleased, then we should understand that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is also pleased. But if the spiritual master is displeased by our actions, they are not spiritual. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur confirms this as follows. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado yasya prasadan nagati kutopi. Activities that please the spiritual master must be considered spiritual, and they should be accepted as satisfying the Lord. Lord Caitanya, Mahaprabhu, as the Supreme Spiritual Master, instructed his mother about the mayavadi philosophy by saying that the body is dirt and edibles are also dirt. He implied that everything is Maya. This is Mayavad philosophy. The philosophy of the Mayavadis is defective because it maintains that everything is Maya, but the nonsense they speak. They say that everything is Maya. The Mayavadi philosopher loses the opportunity of devotional service, and therefore his life is doomed. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore advised, Mayavadi Bhashya Sunile Hoyo Sarvonash. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 6169. If one accepts the Mayavada philosophy, his advancement is doomed forever. Mayavadi Sabhashya Sunile Hoyo Sarvonash. So, Lord Caitanya, he's preaching Mayavad philosophy at the age of 4 years old, testing his mother, saying that cake, sweetmeats, dirt, it's all coming from dirt, it's all different transformations of the same thing. So what's the difference? So this is the nature of impersonal philosophy, is they try to make everything the same. Once there was a yogi in India who was insisting God is one. Everyone is God. So, when ISKCON preacher was preaching to that person, the person was wearing a big turban. He's just insisting everything is God, God is one, everything is one. So then the preacher took off his big expensive silk turban and threw it in the river. So what are you doing? He just threw my turban in the river. He said, it's all one. Whether it's on your head or in the river, it's all one. And then he didn't accept that that was one. So then he started to realize that everything was not one. So in this way, the Mayavadis, their philosophy is totally not practical. It's totally impractical. And for Lord Chaitanya's philosophy is achintya beda beda tattva. What does that mean? Simultaneously one or different. Yes. Achintya beda beda tattva. Inconceivably, simultaneously, one and different. Difference and non-difference. So, here Mother Sachi, she was put in a big, difficult position. Her son is eating dirt, telling her, well, it's all dirt. Dust to dust. Ashes to ashes. So it's all dirt. Came from the earth, it's going back, so I'm eating it, dirt. What's the difference? So she had to come up with some quick answers. to stop Lord Caitanya from eating the dirt. What did she say? Antare Bishmitir Sachi Bolilo Tahare Mati Kaite Gana Yoga Keshika Lotare. Astonished that the child was speaking mayavada philosophy, Mother Sachi replied, "Who has taught you this philosophical speculation that justifies eating dirt?" Purport. In the philosophical discourse between mother and the son, when the son said that everything is one, as impersonalists say, the mother replied, "If everything is one, why do people in general not eat dirt but eat the food grains produced from the dirt?" Matir bikaranna kaile deho pushti hoy, mati kaile roga hoy, deho jai koi. Translation. Replying to the mayavada idea of the child philosopher, Mother Sachi said, "My dear boy, if we eat dirt transformed into grains, our body is nourished and it becomes strong. But if we eat dirt in its crude state, the body becomes diseased instead of nourished, and thus it is destroyed." Matir bikar gote pani bhoriani mati pinde dhori dhabe Mati pinde dhuri jabe soshi jai pani. Translation. In a water pot, which is a transformation of dirt, I can bring water very easily. But if I pour water on a lump of dirt, the dirt would soak up the water and my labor would be useless. Purport. This simple philosophy propounded by Sachi Mata, even though she is a woman, can defeat the mayavada philosophers who speculate on oneness. The defect of mayavada philosophy is that it does not accept the variety that is useful for practical purposes. Sachi Mata gave the example that although both the lump of dirt and the earthen pot are basically one, for practical purposes the water pot is useful, whereas a lump of dirt is useless. Sometimes scientists argue that matter and spirit are one, with no difference between them. Factually, in a higher sense, there is no difference between matter and spirit. But one should have practical knowledge that matter, being an inferior state, is useless for our spiritual, blissful life, whereas spirit, being a finer state of existence, is full of bliss. In this connection, the Bhagavatam gives the example that dirt and fire are practically one and the same. From the earth grow trees, and from their wood come fire and smoke. Nevertheless, for heat, we can utilize the fire but not the earth, smoke, or wood. Therefore, for the ultimate realization of the goal of life, we are concerned with the fire of the spirit, but not the dull wood or earth of matter. Atma lukaite Prabhu bolela tahare Age keno iha mata nasikale more. The Lord replied to his mother, "Why did you conceal self-realization by not teaching me this practical philosophy in the beginning?" Yes. 3. She just learned how to walk. Purport. If one is taught from the beginning of life the Vaishnava philosophy of duality or variety, the monastic philosophy will not very much bother him. In reality, everything is an emanation from the Supreme Source. Janmadasya yataha. What does Janmadasya yataha mean? Nanda Sutta? Is that correct? Parampara? Who is correct? Nanda Sutta, Vedanta Sutra, or Chairana?
Vedanta Sutra does.
All in favor of Vedanta Sutra? All in favor of Acharya Ratna? Huh?
What is the exact?
Acharya Ratna? Janma means birth. Janma asya yataha means that from which everything is created or coming. The verse that you are indicating is Atata Brahma Jigyasa, which is also from the Vedanta Sutra. Huh? Which half are you going to give him? The original energy is exhibited in varieties, exactly like the sunshine. The original energy emanating from the sun, which acts as light and heat in variety. One cannot say that light is heat and heat is light, yet one cannot separate one from the other. Therefore, Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy is achintya beda beda. Inconceivable, non-separation and distinction. Although there is an affinity between the two physical manifestations, light and heat, there is a difference between them. Similarly, although the whole cosmic manifestation is the Lord's energy, the energy is nevertheless exhibited in varieties of manifestations. So, this is the achintya beda beda. The inconceivable non-separation and distinction. That although everything is non-separated from Krishna, yet there is a distinction. It's not that this material world is Krishna, yet it's not separate from Krishna. So things are non-separated from Krishna, at the same time they are distinct. How they remain there in their distinctive nature is inconceivable. It's to be understood because the mayavadis, they say everything is one. Everyone is God. And simply they've forgotten. But when they remember, then they realize that everyone is God. The question is, if they are forgotten, that means they've fallen in Maya. So if Maya is so powerful that it can make you forget that you're God, that means Maya is more powerful than God. Therefore that means Maya is God. Because God must be the most powerful. So therefore they are called mayavadis. Because what they're saying is that Maya is even more powerful than God. If we accept that everyone is God, and we're in Maya, then that means that Maya is greater than God. But if you accept that there's a difference between the minute particles and the supreme entity, then it's possible that the minute particles can be covered by Maya while the supreme entity is not in Maya, which is the actual philosophy. So, Lord Caitanya in conclusion says, Ebe se janilao ar matina kaibo kudha lage jobe tobe tumar sone pibo kudha lage jobe tobe tumar stana pibo. Actually, Lord Caitanya is about just 2 years old when he's speaking this. He's just walking, still taking his mother's breast milk. Now that I can understand this philosophy, no more shall I eat dirt. Whenever I am hungry, I shall suck your breast and drink your breast milk. Ato bole jananir kolete choriya stana pan kore prabhu ishat hasiya. After saying this, the Lord, smiling slightly, climbed on the lap of his mother and sucked her breast. E mato nana chole aishwarjo dekai balo bhava prakartiya paschat lukai. Thus, under various excuses, the Lord exhibited his opulences as much as possible in his childhood. And later, after exhibiting such opulences, he hid himself. 1 minute, Lord Caitanya would show inconceivable pastimes, like having a cobra coil up and he laying on the cobra, eating dirt and then talking very high philosophy just as a small infant. And the next minute he'd play just as if he's a little infant. And then the parents would forget. Nitai go premanandi Hari Hari Bo. Jai Shri Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Vishwam Bharao Ki Jai. Jai Shri Shri Nityananda Avadhuta Dwayamoy Ki Jai. Go premanandi Hari Hari Bo. Show the deities. Jai Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Jaya Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. So in this way the Lord comes down out of His internal potency. But He is covered by Yoga Maya so that the devotees cannot always recognize Him, but sometimes they can recognize Him. But the non-devotees, they cannot recognize Him at all because they are covered by Mahamaya. So, for those who are purified, they can see that these deity forms of the Lord are actually Lord Caitanya and Nityananda themselves, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, having come down into the material world to benedict the devotees, to benedict the fallen souls. Jai.